Hello everyone and welcome to Friday Night Countdown, coming to you from Labyrinth Games and Puzzles here in Washington DC. Rich Hagon alongside Pro Tour historian Brian David-Marshall with you the day after Antonio del Moral Leon of Spain won Pro Tour Fate Reforged. We had a great draft format, both Khans of Tarkir and Fate Reforged, but BDM, this was also a modern Pro Tour.
Yeah, modern is a constructed format that doesn't rotate. And you can play with cards going all the way back to 8th edition and Mirrodin and up through Fate Reforged right now.
To help keep things balanced, we have a short banned list of cards, and that list had a real shake-up coming up to the event.
Yeah, and the modern events leading up to the new ban list, Birthing Pod and Blue-Red Delver were two of the big decks, and both decks took a hit. Birthing Pod itself was added to the list, as well as Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise.
So what would the modern landscape look like? We brought 8 top pros into the tournament center to find out. Seth Manfield walked us through the burn deck that likes to open with a creature and then spend a very short game aiming spells directly at their opponents. Pat Cox is well known for his love of Zoo. Wildner Cattle into Tarmogoyf is a great start, and Tribal Flames can end the game at a single stroke. It was no surprise to see Hall of Famer Frank Karsten bring affinity to the tournament, and he showed us the ins and outs of this popular artifact-based aggro strategy. Right at the heart of the metagame sits the Abzan deck, and Matej Zatlkai took us step-by-step through the key cards. Brian Braun-Duin's deck featured the Urza lands, and once you assemble the Tron pieces, there are a huge variety of impact creatures to win you the game. Scapeshift decks want to survive the early game, find a Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, and cast Scapeshift for the win. Dan Jordan showed us how. A long-time popular deck in Modern, Splinter Twin is a controlling combo deck that wins with infinite creatures. German standout Patrick Dickman gave us the inside track. At the far end of the spectrum lies Jeskai Control, and Pro Tour champion Alexander Hayne told us what to look for from this tricky deck. So that's a broad overview of the modern format.
But on day 2 of Pro Tour Fate Reforged, we took a look at 4 decks that really caught our eye and showed off what you could do in this new modern format. Most players coming into Pro Tour Fate Reforged were looking to join Abzan if they couldn't beat it, but Jacob Wilson set out to do both with Wilted Abzan. The deck was at its core a green-white beatdown deck that lightly touched black for Siege Rhino and the back end of Lingering Souls. The big innovation in the deck was a menagerie of Loxodon Smiters and Wiltleaf Liege that punished the hand destruction of classic Abzan decks that relied more heavily on black for hand disruption. The deck carried Wilson to his second modern Pro Tour top 8 for his young career. Stanislav Sivka, the modern Pro Tour winner from PT Return to Ravnica, knew he did not want to lose to Abzan, the deck everyone expected to be the most played at the event. He came with a card not often seen at a modern Pro Tour since Philadelphia 2011, Bitter Blossom. Instead of surrounding the card with the usual blue and black supporting cast found in Fairies, Sivka featured it in a black-white tokens deck that augmented its Air Force with Intangible Virtue and gained card advantage with Windbreast Kites. You could look at it as a green ramp deck with a combo finish, or a combo deck that also ramped into game-ending fatties. Either way, the Amulet Bloom deck, played by Sam Black and Justin Cohen, was 2 different combo decks jammed together to form a head-scratching combo. The deck was capable of hasty, vigilant, and double-striking Primeval Titans, or game-ending Hive Minds as early as turn 2. Whichever path the deck decided to go down, you can be assured that Summoner's Pack was going to be at the heart of the action. Sam Black finished 17th with the deck, while Cohen made it all the way to the finals. We got a rare glimpse into the playtesting that a team puts into preparing for a Pro Tour when PT Khans of Tarkir champion Ari Lax came into the tournament center to reveal Team TCG players' deck selection process. He walked us through first the different decks he and the team were considering and the implications of playing them. Next, he walked us through the deck his team settled on, Burn, and took us through the fine-tuning process, explaining in detail each card that eventually made the tournament deck. The deck carried Seth Manfield to a perfect record on day 1 for Team TCG player and all the way into the top 8 of Pro Tour Fate Reforged.
Over 400 players began round 1 of Pro Tour Fate Reforged, but by Sunday, as always, there were only 8 left. Let's take a look at their stories. Our top 8 was headlined by 3 standouts. Eric Froelich was in his 4th Pro Tour Top 8, coming just a week after his first MTG trophy at Grand Prix San Jose. He pitched his tent in the centre of the metagame with Abzan, featuring many of the most powerful and iconic spells in the format. Jacob Wilson also turned to Abzan, but with an innovative build featuring Wiltleaf Liege and Loxodon Smiter designed to win the mirror match. He was in his 2nd consecutive Modern Pro Tour Top 8, a tremendous achievement. That was topped though by Li Shi-Chan of Hong Kong. His Modern Pro Tour record now reads Played 3, Top 8, 3, and he now leads the Player of the Year race. However, all 3 fell in the quarterfinals. Also missing out in the quarters was 3-time Grand Prix champion Seth Manfield, whose burn deck had propelled him to an unstoppable 12-0 start earlier in the weekend. Another Grand Prix champion, Jesse Hampton, defeated Froelich in the Abzan Mirror before falling in the semis. This was still a great performance and Hampton's 2nd Modern Pro Tour Top 8. Meanwhile, Hall of Famer Jelge Wiegersma of the Netherlands was into his 5th Pro Tour Top 8, more than 10 years since his Pro Tour title in Seattle in 2004. He defeated the valiant Wilson in the quarters, but couldn't get past the eventual champion in the semis. The final saw Madison PTQ winner Justin Cohen playing in his first ever Pro Tour against Spain's Antonio del Moral Leon, playing in his 4th. The matchup featured Cohen's Amulet of Vigor combo deck against more combo in the form of Leon's blue-red Splinter Twin deck. This was meant to be a good matchup for the Spaniard, and so it proved, bringing him the title. Before Fate Reforged, our drafts would have looked like this. Carns, Carns, Carns. But now they look like this. And BDM, this pack right here, Fate Reforged, well, it changed everything.
Absolutely, Rich. When we were drafting Khans of Tarkir, you would open up your pack, you'd find a Khan, a clan leader, and you'd find yourself going right into 3 colors, making some decisions about that, maybe picking up some fixing for your 3 colors. But Fate Reforged, the powerful rares that you find in here are 2 allied colors. There are no 3-color cards, and you don't really know what 3-color cards are going to be there until you get to these 2 packs now.
Yeah, made for some really interesting draft strategies, perhaps none more so than Hall of Famer Jelge Wiegersma of the Netherlands. Now, he made it all the way to the top 8, in part BDM due to his draft on day 1, which was nuts.
Yeah, he had a really clear plan going in. He said, I'm going to draft these things in order. I'm going to draft rares. I'm going to draft mana fixing. So he would take the gain lands, the tri lands, wherever he saw them, if it wasn't a rare, and then he was going to clean up. Whatever cards people couldn't pick in Khans of Tarkir because they didn't have the mana fixing, he just scooped them up. And we saw it all weekend long. You saw like 8th or 9th pick Savage Knuckleblades in some drafts. So he really put himself in a position to have 9 non-basic lands in his draft deck and 9 rares.
And he went 3-0. We brought 2 players into the tournament centre, Sam Pardee and Eric Froelich, to talk us through their particular draft strategies.
Where do you go in the Khans of Tarkir packs when you open Silumgar the Drifting Death, the blue-black dragon, in Fate Reforged? Sam Pardee knew he had to focus on one of those 2 colors, and he settled into black with Orc Sure Shots, Sultai Emissary, and Typhoid Rats highlighting pack 1. He made sure to speculate on some 2-color lands that let him draft a black-green base deck that splashed blue for the dragon and white when he opened up the powerful Planeswalker Sorin Solemn Visitor. High toughness cards like Archer's Parapet and Disowned Ancestor became a priority so that he could find the time to cast his powerful rares. Grand Prix San Jose champion Eric Froelich came into the tournament wanting to draft rares in Fate Reforged. But at the heart of it, he wanted to do what he always does in draft, and remain open. Froelich was disappointed to miss out on opening one of those powerful rares in Fate Reforged, but remained flexible, and was looking at a solid black-green deck that had good removal and premium Pinewalkers to round out his curve when he was rewarded in Pack 3 with a second pick Sagu Mauler and a little bit of the mana fixing he needed to get it into play face up.
Our milestone moment here at Pro Tour Fate Reforged belongs to Antonio del Moral Leon of Spain.
Yeah, Rich, if you go back to 1996 and the very first Pro Tour, up and through this weekend, Antonio is the first Pro Tour champion to bring that trophy home to Spain. There's never been a Spanish champion before, and it's more than just winning the Pro Tour for Antonio. He's going to be playing in the World Championship by virtue of winning this event, and he's the front runner right now to be the captain of the Spanish World Magic Cup team. And the World Magic Cup, that's going to be in Barcelona this year.
You know what? It was also a great milestone moment for Modern. There's never been a better time to get into this fantastic constructed format. You can play at Friday Night Magic. You can play Modern in your preliminary PTQs. There's going to be a Modern WMCQ weekend for the World Magic Cup qualifiers. And then, of course, there's Grand Prix all around the world, starting with Vancouver later this month. Then across the summer, as we go to Charlotte, to Copenhagen, and to Singapore. Into the fall with Porto Alegre and Oklahoma City before rounding out the year in Pittsburgh.
And of course, there's one of the biggest Magic weekends of the year. We're going to be 3 Grand Prix, 3 continents, limited. Modern Masters 2015. Going to be going on in Las Vegas, in Utrecht, and in Chiba.
It's going to be an amazing weekend and an amazing Modern year. But until we meet again on Friday Night Countdown, for Brian David-Marshall here at Labyrinth Games and Puzzles in Washington, D.C., I'm your host, Richard Hagan, saying bye.